Yeah, we're on now. Good evening. Welcome to the March 13th, 2023 regularly scheduled work session. Tonight, there are 3 items on the agenda. Public comment is allowed that is germane to an agenda item. If you wish to speak, you are required to fill out a public comment card. And if you are speaking on behalf of an organization, you must fill out an affidavit that you have the authority of said organization. Please remember, this is not a time to engage the mayor or members of the city council in conversation. When your name is called, please come forward and speak into the microphone stating your name and address for the record. Public comment will be allowed for a total of 10 minutes per agenda item and no more than 2 minutes per person. Once the item is called, no other public cards will be accepted. Will the city clerk please sound agenda item A?
Good evening, Mayor. That first item is the Milton Equestrian Committee update, and it will be provided by the Milton Equestrian Committee. And we first have our Parks and Rec Director, Mr. Tom McElvain.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's my pleasure this evening. It's going to be a little unconventional, but I'm going to introduce Emily Salerno, who's our new Community Outreach Manager with the city here. She's been with us for 6 weeks. She's been doing tremendous work in these initial 6 weeks, really exceeding my expectations for a new employee already. This is a role that does, scheduling for the community-based events and connecting the community with the city. She comes to us from the private sector, and I'd love to have her come up, introduce herself, and then she can introduce the equestrian committee, which she is the liaison over.
How's that?
Hi, good evening. My name is Emily Salerno, like Tom so graciously invited me here today. Like I said, I've been with the city now for about 6 weeks. I'm very excited to be a part, so it's wonderful to get to meet you all. The Milton Equestrian Committee had a phenomenal 2022. They've accomplished a lot, and we're very excited to see what they have to share and what they have in store for 2023. So I will introduce Tony Rich, who is the chair of the Milton Equestrian Committee.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is. There we go.
It's magic.
Is it there?
Magic.
It's magic? Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council, and thank you for the opportunity to come up and address you all tonight. We appreciate you making room on your agenda. Usually at the beginning of every year, I sit down with our Milton Equestrian Committee members, and I talk about the resolution that the mayor and council drafted in 2016 when they created the Milton Equestrian Committee, and we talk about bylaws and we talk about purpose and those types of things. So what I thought I would do tonight is, first of all, I want to introduce our Milton Equestrian Committee members. Nan Buckner, who's here tonight, Susan Day, who could not be with us. Susan Kimball's here. She's our vice chair. Shannon Regan Quidley is our newest member, who's a week, something like that. So we're glad to have her here. I'm the chair for this year. Carson Seville, he joined us a few months ago. We're thrilled to have him. And then Julie Shannon couldn't join us, but she agreed to be our secretary this year. I had to bribe her to take minutes, but it worked out okay. Like I said a minute ago, usually at the very beginning of the year, I like to put documents in front of our committee. And I asked them to review those documents. I asked them to review the resolution for when this committee was created in 2016. And I asked them to review the bylaws to understand why we're here as a committee. And so I thought this would be a great opportunity to start this presentation and just go over the basic purposes of the Milton Equestrian Committee. First of all, it's to introduce and manage equestrian initiatives to enhance the quality of life for the residents and business community of the city of Milton, to encourage local exploration, generate civic pride, increase tourism, and showcase local equestrian land, equestrian businesses, and equestrian initiatives. And finally, is to advocate for, promote, educate, and participate in the selection and interpretation of equestrian initiatives and equestrian events. With all the growth that we've seen in Milton, I think it's imperative that we remember that in 2016, our city leadership actually thought so much of our equestrian heritage, our equestrian lifestyle, and just the rural viewshed that we have in Milton, to actually create a specific committee called the Milton Equestrian Committee We don't have a cycling committee. We don't have a skateboarding or a lacrosse committee. We have an equestrian committee. And I think that's important as we think about decisions that our community and our leadership makes in the future. So I just want to remind ourselves of that. And that is certainly something that I remind our committee of every time we get together. I actually had a comment earlier this year from one of our city staff, and I'll keep their name anonymous, but they actually commented that they thought that last year was the best year yet for the Milton Equestrian Committee. And I didn't take that lightly. I appreciated the compliment, but I really went back and shared that with our committee. And I really tried to reflect on why that person would have said something of that magnitude. As many of you know, the city made a significant investment improvement at Birmingham Park last year, which we're very excited about. We created a new equestrian riding space at Birmingham and Freemanville Roads. We created an equestrian webpage on the City of Milton website, which I think is great as far as marketing us as an equestrian community. Significant social media and advertising progress in telling our story and creating awareness of just who we are. I think that's just one more piece of what makes us really unique as a city. And then finally, we had a great session last year for several days working with our first responders on actually how to handle horses. Who would have thought that firefighters and police officers don't know how to catch and handle horses? And that was very well received, and we were really happy to be a part of that. So we have kind of organized our equestrian committee into 3 specific subcommittees to give us really just something that we can track as far as progress goes. We have an equestrian facilities and amenities subcommittee, which Julie Shannon leads. That's really about our parks and our green spaces and all of the equestrian amenities that our citizens and the community has to enjoy. We have marketing and community relations, which is headed up by Susan Kimball and Nan Buckner. That's all about telling our story. It's about building a brand. It's about bringing our residents together. They've done a great job there. And then finally, farm ownership challenges, initiatives. It's really about protecting our farms. It's about our rural quality of life. It's about making it easier for existing farm owners and new investors to come into Milton and create their farm and enjoy it without a lot of headaches. And Carson Seville has agreed to lead that, which I'm really excited about. So I'll talk about equestrian facilities. Julie was going to be here. Her mom had surgery, so she couldn't make it tonight, but I told her I would be happy to go over that with you all. As you know, Birmingham Park we had a great year last year. You all agreed to make very significant investment in that park. We have a new designated trailer parking and turnaround area, which turned out really nice. Our public works folks really did a good job of laying that out, and it's come together quite nicely. We have our own water source. We have hitching posts for people to be able to tie up their horses. There are new trails that link this parking area to the existing interior trails. A local Girl Scout troop came in and created all new signs for us, which was a great project. And last year was probably the 4th or the 5th annual cleanup day. And several of our council members came out, our mayor came out, which we appreciate. And I think it's just a great way to bring our community together. So that was really, really good. You all have probably seen a lot of these pictures. We've got, like I said, these signs turned out great. The horseshoe turnaround was really great. I've been up to Birmingham Park several times, just during the week, mid-afternoon on a nice day, and there seems to always be trailers parked there, and people are really using the park. So we're really, really excited about that. As you know, we opened up a new Freemanville Road and Birmingham riding area this past year. It'll be interesting to see with the roundabout just how much use it gets this year, but I am thrilled that equestrian was a part of that green space plan for that park. I think it's just an absolutely beautiful setting, and it's turned out to be just a really nice place. So thanks for the opportunity to participate there. This year, we've got a handful of things that we're working on. Birmingham Park, it is an ongoing project, as you know. There is a real need for increased signage at Birmingham Park. Off-leash dogs are a real challenge. In our last equestrian committee meeting, we had a young lady come in, and they met a couple of dogs coming around a corner on a horse, and their horses did not like it. They took off through the woods, and luckily they stayed on and didn't get hurt, but that is something that we're concerned about. And so I think signage is going to be a real key piece of that going forward. We had a real interesting discussion with some of the local mountain biking communities about how mountain bikes and horses interact. Sometimes they do okay, oftentimes they don't. So that's something that we're going to be working on. And we're just looking forward to working with Parks and Rec this coming year, just on a lot of different projects in different areas. We're hopeful to do a cleanup day at some point this year as well, just to keep trying to take care of our space over there. So one idea that we've been exploring with Parks and Rec on the Freemanville Birmingham space is the idea of taking one of those parcels and turning it into a dog park. The whole off-leash dog thing, it comes up again and again. People want a place in Milton to let their dogs run around. That Freemanville space is split into 3 specific pastures. And we really think that, if we can work with the local community and create a specific off-leash dog park there, that would actually be, one, great for our citizens, but, we also want to play well in the sandbox with non-horse people. So we're hopeful that will generate some goodwill there. Signage is something at Freemanville and Birmingham that we really need. We have been very fortunate as a city that no one's gotten hurt riding horses, but we need signs on all these parks that basically say, you ride at your own risk. And that's just part of the equestrian world that we live in. But I do think we need some signs there. So I'm hopeful that you guys can help us make that happen. There are so many other green spaces that we have in Milton. The Milton City Park and Preserve, I think the south end of that property is not overly used at all right now, and we'd love to explore putting some trails in there. The city bought the Kennedy property, be a great place to put some trailer parking. And I think the Cooper Sandy property is just right for the picking to have some horse trails put in place. So we're hopeful that you guys would allow us to explore that. We have a new trails committee, as you all know, and we've got a couple of equestrians that are part of that organization. And so we're looking forward to collaborating with them and working with them on several different projects. So there's a lot of good stuff going on, and we're just glad to be a part of the process. So with that, I will turn it over to Susan Kimball, and she can come up and talk about marketing.
Hello, I'm Susan Kimball, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the marketing and PR efforts that we've been engaged in and that we hope to continue to flesh out. Last year, we had some print advertising and online advertising, I believe, in the Chronicle of the Horse, which is a very established equestrian magazine that is nationwide, hoping to promote our equestrian town as a destination, perhaps a residence for those subscribers. There's also a lifestyle publication tied to that. It's through the Chronicle as well, called Untacked, that we advertised in as well. Let's see, I'm not sure, how do I advance the slides here?
Just use the cursors, the arrows.
All right, okay, there we go. We also have some social media presence that has been ongoing, and we introduced, previously we had the Barn of the Month that we were promoting, both on our Milton Facebook pages and on our webpage for the committee. We've introduced something new called Ask the Equestrian. It's meant to be sort of an accessible way for non-equestrians to get some answers to any little curiosities that they might have had, and try to engage the non-equestrian public as well, and bridge that gap. We're always encouraging readers to submit their questions there. So we have this past year added the equestrian link to the city's website. We're hoping to flesh that out further, including some lists, some guides for local organizations, as well as equestrian events that would be available in the area. We also have continued to have articles in the Milton Herald. Those have an online presence as well, promoting some of our noteworthy Milton equestrians recently, including, we have a number of very accomplished, nationally respected equestrians. We've had an opportunity to highlight some of them and to remember some very important Milton equestrians that passed away this past year as well. Yeah, so sorry, this slide kind of addresses some of those volunteer opportunities that we would like to list as well. And hoping to continue to add photos and sort of illustrate the beauty of our lifestyle and try to really encourage people to ask questions and learn more about horses through us. We've been working also with the Art Council over time. We've talked about adding perhaps more bronze sculptures to the roundabouts, possibly we'll see, and different art projects with an equestrian theme that we might use around the city. Now I'm going to hand it over to Nan Buckner, and she's going to speak about more of the community relations piece and some of the events that we have that we're working on. You can just hit the space if you want or use the.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. I ride horses and sell tack. Technology is not something I'm really good at. Hi, I'm Nan Buckner, and thank you for the opportunity to talk to you guys this evening. I really appreciate it. It's been a great year for us, as Tony and Susan have said. Our Crabapple Festival, from what we understand, was the largest turnout yet. And we want to continue to roll that out and be, very good at doing that. Basically what we did was we worked in shifts, and people would come to the table and ask us questions or whatnot. We had trinkets that we gave this year. I don't know if you guys saw them. I picked the horse head with the city of Milton on them. They're little carabiners. We ran out of those so quickly. We also had some jelly bracelets, city of Milton, Georgia. So that was kind of fun, and everyone enjoyed it. People were taking handfuls. Unfortunately, I couldn't attend because I own a retail store, and a major tack retailer has a tent sale the same weekend as Crabapple Festival. So hopefully I can get there this year. One of the big aspects of that is promoting the equestrian lifestyle. And it's a great opportunity for us to reach out to those people and really try to answer questions. Of course, everybody says, where should I ride? That's really a tough question to try to answer specifically, but we want to give them as many answers as we can. Like Susan said, with our webpage, that's kind of where that came from. Ask the Equestrian. Why do horses wear blindfolds? Well, those aren't blindfolds. They're fly masks. So it also creates an opportunity for non-horse people to get involved. We welcome people to come to our committee meetings. We want to know what we can do to maybe introduce them to horses or whatnot. So that's a great thing. Our park cleanup day, we haven't gotten that scheduled yet. It's usually in May, but it's a great opportunity to trim trees, clear the trails, do the weed eating and things that make the trails more safe. It's also an opportunity to pick up trash and note any safety concerns, washout. There have been some trails that have washout from time to time, so it's nice to note that and make it safe for both hikers and horses. This year's date is probably going to be sometime in May, but again, our meeting is Wednesday, so hopefully we'll have something in stone for you guys soon. The partnership with the Milton Fire Department, and that was really fun. I did that at my farm, and we had 3 shifts, 3 days long. And of course, we could have picked a warmer day to do so, but it was June, and that's what happens. And everybody had a good time. It was really, really informative. And I want to kind of keep as an initiative for 2023 to keep that ongoing with both the police personnel as well as the fire personnel. That's always available. I've always said, just call me. Anybody can come. Let's see. I think there's something going on with the volunteer fire corps as well. So we'll try to keep in touch with them on that as well. One thing we worked with too was the Lionheart School and Works. That is for special needs folks, and it lets them get involved with some of the more easy tasks of horse care, like cleaning stalls and pasture maintenance and that kind of thing. And I know Tony had a group of several groups of folks at his farm for that. So that's a really good thing. And we'd like to continue on with the Girl Scout groups and get them involved in continuing with our signs. Fireworks. Yes, that's always been kind of stuck in everybody's craw. I did the video for the city. I'd like to kind of keep doing that just to kind of, it's a really big hot button for a lot of people. And I'd like to really ask as an initiative for this year that we try to get law enforcement to react. I mean, we have the ordinances, it's great, it's wonderful, but I don't know that there have ever been any citations issued. So that's just kind of something we'd like to look into for next year. So we're going to continue with the collaboration with the fire department. We're going to try to offer an education day at some of the local schools. So some of our committee members and several first responders and whatnot would like to pick a day to go to their whatever, not career day necessarily. I don't know how that all works, but we're going to try to do something to get the schools involved. Our biggest event is coming up soon on April 15th. It's Meet the Neighbors, and we're so excited about it because we haven't been able to do it the last couple of years because of COVID. We did the first event in 2019, and if you guys remember, it was at the fire station 43, I believe, in the lawn there. So we're hoping for a much bigger crowd, and we're going to do it in the new green space on Freemanville in Birmingham. We've already got lots of vendors signed up, various types, food, gifts, horse, dog, jewelry, just about anything. So hopefully we're going to be offering that. And of course, we'll have the T-Layer folks come and set up all the T-Layer stuff. So food, fun, come on out April 15th, 10 to 2. Again, the park cleanup date is to be determined. And then there's a new thing we want to kind of talk about too, which is a concept for manure removal. Manure removal or disposal has always been kind of an issue for a lot of different farm owners. And some people have, gone to the extent of renting dumpsters and having, the big walk-in dumpster you can empty, and then the waste management company is supposed to pick it up. Well, there's lots of problems with that. And there's lots of problems with landfills saying that they're not going to do that. So we'd like to come up with some sort of plan for the service of Milton residences to see if that might be something that we can offer the city residents. So I don't think that, composting is good for everybody. So we need to kind of come up with some kind of plans. We're going to be working on that as well. And that's all I have for those initiatives. So I will now turn it over to Carson.
Thank you, Nan. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Carson Seville. I am newly appointed to the Equestrian Committee in the council meeting December 2022. And I want to start off here just kind of telling you a little story. My family sold a farm over in Brazelton that we lived at previously. And I reached out to a lot of different developers, realtors, mentors, you name it. And every one of them, when the city of Milton came up in conversation, oh, Milton's fantastic. Oh, you move there, you won't leave. Oh, that's the best of the best. And it really stuck with me throughout this process. And so really the way I came to be on the equestrian committee is I'm going through the process of building a farm right now in Milton. I bought a little under 10 acres and I've cleared the entire place. I've gone through tree ordinance, hydrology, site plan, LDP, but you name it, I've done it. And so talking with Tony the other day, we really want to be a resource for current and future farm owners to reach out to us because someone on this committee has probably experienced whatever our residents are going through, and we can help them navigate through that. So I'm going to jump into these slides. We've really built that unique community like I was just talking about. And how do we preserve that? What do we see this area looking like in 20 years? I understand we have a comprehensive plan, but I think we really need to keep in mind, okay, 20 years from now, how are these decisions going to affect what this city looks like, and how do we keep Milton? The one idea we had was large lot incentives, and that might be something as small as setbacks, minimum requirements for the tree ordinance, or building a run-in barn for horses. I don't know if we need to apply the same standards or not for some of these large lots versus a single 1 acre lot. This next section right here is protecting and encouraging farm ownership. This is kind of my bread and butter here. So I was with staff the other day, and they've probably seen me in here more times than they want to count. But we were talking about this, and somebody mentioned a zoning of equestrian use, and it really piqued my interest because you have your R3s and your ags, and those have certain requirements. But a equestrian use, and I don't know if we're using this currently or not, but it would almost be similar to a TDR. It is zoned for equestrian use. You could put a residence on it, but it could not be developed without being rezoned. And it was something that I thought was a really cool idea. Impact fees, those I think of neighborhoods bringing in rooftops, and maybe there's some opportunity there to reduce those for the single residents on a large piece of land. So that's one idea. And then the CUVA, I'm going through that right now too with the county, and the city's done some education on that, but it's not an easy task. And I'm learning really I'm preparing for next tax season to submit my documents and show that I'm bona fide ag since I'm under the 10-acre threshold. So us as equestrian committee could help these different landowners learn this process easier without having staff have to do separate meetings every week on that type of stuff. The next item, farm census. So we moved pretty quick on this. I had Emily send us every parcel in Milton over 3 acres. And I had some people that work with me go through them, and we Google Earth and just basic knowledge. We basically spreadsheeted them. If it's a house only, if it's an active farm, non-active farm, if it's city, county, or school owned, there's about 1,600 of them. So we've got some pretty good data that I still need to run by. We're going to talk about it Wednesday. And I'm really interested to kind of track, okay, how many farms do we have, and is that number changing, and how fast? So we'll be sharing that with you in the future. And the last topic, our favorite one, high density. I know y'all have heard plenty about that in this room, but flag lots, we had a meeting on that the other night, and to me, flag lots, that allows developers to skirt the ordinance, allows them to go build on what actually less than an acre, and most of the land is made up of flagpole. I know y'all have heard this before. Septic systems and traffic, we all know what comes with that: more density, more traffic, and more septic systems. So the key takeaway here is I think we've really built something special, and it's known throughout the state, if not the country. And so how do we protect that? And all I have. So thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm going to hand it back to Tony, and I think we're doing Q&A.
Any questions for Tony? I will tell you, Tony, in 2016, I'm glad the city council appointed this committee, because this is exactly what we want a committee to do. Y'all are engaging, you're thoughtful, you're proactive, you're doing everything that we kind of ask y'all to do, and y'all come to us. And what y'all have done last year was fantastic, really. And I mean, really, really good stuff.
Well, we appreciate that very much.
Anything?
Yeah, being on council back then, it definitely was intentional, because we had talked about it for years. It's like, well, what can we do if we don't? I think by being more proactive, and even what you guys have done last year, even trying to get some national presence, got a better chance of preserving the farms that we have, that people like to drive by. But attracting people, if we don't do something proactive, I think it's more likely people will sell their property, and it's easy for folks to come in and just develop subdivisions.
Right.
And I want to thank you also for doing the cleanup day. I think that's a great day for us to get out there, including council, and kind of get an idea of really what's out there in Birmingham Park too.
No, we appreciate that very much. I mean, we've got, there's challenges out there, and you guys know this. You live it every day, right? And I think Carson, I was at a flag lot meeting a couple of weeks ago, and that was a very interesting conversation. It's like, who's driving that agenda, and, really where are we going with those types of things? Because, living on a larger piece of land and making a decision to move to a place like Milton because it's rural and it's quiet, and compared to, living closer to Atlanta, it's so different. And I think the more we try to be something for everybody, the more we lose our identity. And, sometimes, we just have to say, that's just not who we are. And I can't imagine being in your shoes and sitting up there trying to tell somebody that we just can't do that. Because I know that's not an easy thing to do. So we just appreciate to have a chance to talk with you all and have a seat at the table. And we're happy to help whenever we can. So,
Tony, thank you very much. I can't believe it was 2016 when we started the committee. Somebody had asked me when I joined it, I would have said 2018. I didn't realize it was that long ago.
wow.
So what has happened with the 5013C that Liz Gervais started, and how do you all interact with that?
Well, the short answer is we really don't interact much with that. I know Liz, Larry Covington was a big
Right.
part of that. You know, he and Liz, I think, were some of the people that started that. I did have a conversation with Larry this past weekend, and my understanding is that he had to step off of that organization, but specifically where it stands, I don't know.
Okay.
We don't have much interaction there at all.
All right. It'd be interesting to see if we can put a little muscle in that so that it could be a
Yep.
funder of the kinds of things that you all want to do.
I think it's a great idea, and we'll definitely do that.
Okay.
So,
We'll see about that. Thank you all very much.
thank you all
well
very much.
done.
We appreciate the
Thank
chance to be here.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Appreciate it. Okay, Tammy, if you will please call the next item.
Mayor, item B is the Parks and Recreation Strategic Plan Update. It's presented by our Parks and Rec Director, Mr. Tom McElveen.
All right. Good evening once again, Mayor and Council. What I have prepared for you this evening is our first presentation outlining the progress that staff has made on the Parks and Recreation items identified in the strategic and comprehensive plans. I'd like to start high level. As you can see, we have 22 Parks and Recreation projects that are identified in the plans. Of those 22 projects, 11 of them have already been completed. I'll show a list of those completed projects in just a moment. We have 9 projects that we're still working through, and later in the presentation, I'll provide some detailed updates on roughly half of those projects. Lastly, we have 2 projects that we've put on hold as they're directly related to outdoor recreation, with our new outdoor recreation supervisor beginning in 1 short week. She'll be hitting the ground running on those 2 strategic plan items. Here's a list of those completed projects identified in the plans. I've highlighted some of those larger projects in bold. Those include the inclusion of green infrastructure projects such as the bioswales that are located at Bell Memorial Park and the brand new one at Providence Park that catches stormwaters near the new restroom. We've also created and launched a new financial aid program to ensure that all our residents have access and the ability to participate in all of our recreation programming. And last but not least, the completion of the Providence Park improvements, including the fishing pier, new ADA trails, and restrooms with flushable toilets. Now I'll move on to some of our active projects and give you a brief update on the current status of them. First up is a project guiding staff to identify opportunities to partner with Alpharetta Equestrian Event Operations through the promotion of Birmingham Park Equestrian Trails. I'm happy to report that we've made some tangible progress on this over the past few weeks. Parks and Rec staff met with Alpharetta and the manager of the Wills Park Equestrian Center to really brainstorm some ways to cross-promote our special features and programming at our respective equestrian facilities. It's a rather unique partnership since we both serve the same general population, but in completely different ways. Alpharetta offers horse shows, riding passes, while Milton offers beautiful trails and open pastures available for the passive equestrian use. Because of this, we can effectively promote each other without really damaging each city's focus. We've already begun conversations on cross-promoting activities at each facility, and you should see that coming in the near future. But we're not going to just stop there. This partnership could be the start of something larger on a programmatic level, but those discussions are really in the infancy stages right now. Our next identified project aims to increase the technologically interactive spaces on Milton's properties, and Parks and Recreation is really a logical place to do so. Staff started with a baseline of interactive spaces, and we've identified some additional opportunities to further assist our residents that either visit or want to learn more about park features. As we brainstormed on a staff level, we realized we had more technology wrapped into our parks than we originally imagined. For example, we have lightning detection systems at our most active parks. This system utilizes data from weather systems to identify whenever a lightning strike is within 10 miles of a park. It does so doesn't rely on inaccurate sensors that are within the potential device on a roof. It actually uses data from like the weather service, and it can pinpoint exactly where a lightning strike was. In addition, it automatically sends an email to a custom list when the lightning is sensed, and we have a public web page on the city's website that is shared with our programs to show an active countdown as when to play can resume. So it will actually say, the last lightning strike was, 20 minutes ago, there's 10 minutes left, but if there's another lightning strike that occurs, it resets the clock and you can actually see the countdown happening. Another technologically interactive feature exists at Bell Memorial Park. It's a scoring system that's completely operated by parks visitors' phones to operate the scoreboards at the park. This eliminates the need for what I like to call score brains, those things that you pull out, lug up to the thing, you plug it in. And you don't have to worry about, if it's going to work. Is it going to get returned back to where it's supposed to be stored at the end of the night, or is it going to sit in the elements overnight? There are also several other technologically interactive things that we have operational, including our QR information codes and the patron counter at the pool. Moving forward, we're going to log all these interactive spaces and features that we have at our parks, and we'll aim to increase those year after year. The third project I'd like to update you on this evening relates to art displayed throughout the community. Staff has gone through many different directions with this one, but with it falling into Parks and Recreation, we thought it would be very appropriate. Why not create an actual program? So we've reached out to several communities around the country, as a matter of fact, that utilize programs such as the bulldogs that are displayed in Athens, or the horses that are displayed in Lexington, Kentucky. Our next immediate step in this is to bring our findings to the Milton Arts Council later this month to explore if this is a project they'd like to spearhead in conjunction with the city. There will be more to come on this project in the coming months. The final project I'll be sharing this evening has been the largest focus for the staff the past year, and that's land acquisition for future active parks growth and identifying opportunities for incorporation of a community center that can serve all. Over the past 6 months, we've closed on over 40 acres of land recognized and earmarked for active parks. As identified in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, we're 40 acres short of our 2017 standards and 56 acres short of 2027 projections for sports complexes. Most of this 40 acres of land acquisition will fill this identified need. Looking forward, we're currently under contract for another just under 5 acres that will go towards the sports complex need, and city staff's always looking out for other opportunities for additional land or partnerships within the community to increase park space. Not only focusing on the acquisition of land, staff will begin. This isn't only a focus on acquisition, but we'll begin the process of park planning in 2023 as well. At this point, I'd welcome any questions, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, and
Carol?
Thank you, Tom.
Mhm.
Could you back up to the part about Alpharetta and Milton and the equestrian exchange? And
Yeah.
explain that one more time.
Sure. So we're looking to cross promote our various activities that we have at our parks. So we'll essentially promote Wills Park at Birmingham Park and potentially the Freemanville Birmingham Green Space. And then in response to that, Alpharetta at Wills Park and whatnot will promote and try to drive those equestrian folks to come out and check out Birmingham Park. Because a lot of folks that go to Wills Park don't even know Birmingham Park exists. In fact, Matt Casey, who is the manager of Wills Park, had never been to Birmingham Park before. We went for a little stroll a few weeks ago, and he was blown away by what was out there.
Well, we're very
So-
proud of Birmingham and the other, but let's think about this for a minute, okay? Birmingham is unpaid, like Milton pays for that. When we show at Wills Park, that's paid. Okay, so they're taking in revenue. For anyone who's at Wills Park, then to go to Birmingham Park, and actually, I mean, if you're trying to get the whole greater community, then it takes away what's special, in my opinion, of Birmingham. You don't have that much horse traffic that you're riding en masse. But if you start, getting crowds there, I think it denigrates the opportunity for Milton residents. I mean, there's a huge inequality there.
Mhm.
Again, if I go to Wills Park, I'm paying. Ours is free. And do we really want that? Because the pleasure of being at one of our parks is not having it crowded. Tony, I mean, if you see it differently, let me know. And I'm not a frequent shower at Wells Park. I did re-engage last summer and I beat the 8-year-olds and I'm still very proud of that, or else I wouldn't have mentioned it. My husband challenged me to try to beat the 12-year-olds next time. It's been a long time since I competed, but he would mention. But anyway, just think about that because, you know,
I understand.
we're getting very proud, but there's a limit to it. We need some peacefulness in these properties or we've ruined it. We don't need crowds, Tom. Okay? However you do it, we need to be selective. But Wills Park is not wide open for us to just go whoop and holler around for free. So, I mean, it can be if you go out to ride there, but it's not really set up for that. And that's not what they want either.
Noted.
Just to comment on that also, as Carol said, we're paying for the maintenance and upkeep. I think we need to be careful how much we try to advertise to bring cities in. It's a nice resource for our city. I think that's really, if we can't limit people and say, hey, show me that you live in Milton. But I think we have to be smart, like Carol said, when we start to advertise, it's got to be, what's going to be the outcome of that advertising? What are we expecting? What are we trying to?
As soon as it's crowded, everybody in Milton's going to want it limited by having to have a sticker or a fee, and that's going to have to be, it's just going to get difficult. So.
Okay.
But anyway, good presentation, and as always, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Nope.
Good. All right, thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Tammy, please call the next item.
Mayor, our final item C is presentation of incident data dashboard called Craig 1300, and it's presented by our fire marshal, Mr. Alex Fortner. Accompanied by, no, he's going to sit down.
I'll go ahead and get started. Hello, Mayor, Council, good evening. My name is Alex Fortner. I'm the City Fire Marshal and also the Deputy Fire Chief of Community Risk Reduction. Presentation up. I have a short presentation on Craig 1300, which is an interactive dashboard for our community and also the fire department to see our community as a whole from a census standpoint and also our community as a whole from our incident data as well. So it overlays our incident data on top of our census population to better understand what kind of calls we're going to and how we can be more proactive to stop those calls to begin with, right? So just real quickly, right, community risk reduction consists of the Fire Marshal's Office and also the Medical Services Bureau. In general, we're conducting fire inspections, we're doing plan review, we're doing education. Every single elementary school, middle school, high school, we're in all those schools year round, promoting things, everything from, don't play with lighters and matches to career fairs to big presentations on fire investigations, right? So we're kind of all over the place, all in the community. You'll see us in existing occupancies conducting fire inspections. You'll see us in new occupancies conducting the general fire and life safety inspections that go along with new construction. But we're also doing things like our medical services offices, which is like Stop the Bleed. We do a lot of Stop the Bleed programs. You've probably seen that here in City Hall. We're in the elementary schools doing that. We're in middle schools doing that, providing those basic EMS skills to the community. So just to give, and this is not an exhaustive list, but just to give you an idea of what we're doing on a month-to-month basis. This is January and February. CARES visits 36. If you're not familiar, our community paramedicine program is a group of 3 or 4 individuals who go out to these kind of underserved homes, people with extra needs that normal community members may not have or may not need. They'll go out. Are you taking your medications right? Are you eating and drinking like you should? Are you following the prescriptive discharge paperwork of your doctors when you left the ER? So we have Milton Fire Rescue members that go out to these homes and make sure that our community members are safe and trying to be proactive, right? Community risk reduction is only about being proactive versus the more reactive state that our first responders are more generally known for. Again, Stop the Bleed, Career Day, we're doing fire station tours, smoke detector installations. We're also in community development, land development, plan reviews, building reviews. We're also answering complaints. Complaints kind of come and go. It could be anything from, blocked exit doors at Walmart to, things in a stairway on a multi-story building. So all these things we kind of handle, right, just to keep the community safe. And in March alone, and I'll go back to that one slide, we started a new program, the car seat safety check program. So we sent 2 individuals out to get certified nationally to be car seat technicians. We held a day at Fire Station 44 where people could just come in. We'll check your car seats. We'll do installations. If you don't know how to, right, a lot of caregivers are unfamiliar with car seats and how to properly put car seats in. 4 out of 5 car seats, in fact, are installed improperly. So we now have that service available Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So this Craig 1300 is directly in line with our Milton Fire Rescue Strategic Plan, which also supports the city strategic plan. Strategic priority 2, and enhance overall quality of life through smart, sustainable community risk reduction initiatives. And goal 3, which is to increase use of technology and community partnerships for community risk reduction. And forgive me if I'm reading off of this screen because it's not on the computer. So Craig 1300 is created from NFPA, and it is a community risk assessment and community risk reduction plan that enables the fire department as well as the community to kind of engage and see what's going on in their community. So as an example, right, we wouldn't necessarily give a barn fire safety class to an HOA group on the Highway 9 corridor, right, because we don't have a lot of barns in that area, and we're talking about fire safety. And vice versa. We wouldn't do a lot of community fire safety cooking classes on maybe the northwestern part of the community because we don't have a lot of apartment housing. So what this program does is allow us to focus our fire and life safety initiatives and kind of do more with less. So this is just a brief example. This outlines falls in the community. The map you see on the left is the census map for 2021, which is just showing in this particular map, dark purple is older population, 65 and older. The lighter shades, less of that older population. And what we do is we overlay it with our response data, which is on the right. This is assisting residents off of the ground. So you see, again, dark purple, right lower corner there. That's actually where our 2 nursing homes are, right? So we would focus our fall prevention in that bottom south, southeast corner versus maybe a northwest corner, right? We could give them information like fall prevention. Remembering When is a great program for that. Also, is that person a great candidate for our Milton Fire Cares program, right? Do we need to be sending somebody out there weekly, monthly, make sure they're doing okay? Maybe the person failed because, the thresholds for their doors were too high and they were tripping their walker over it, right? So maybe they'd be a good candidate for the home and life safety evaluation. These are all things we kind of take into consideration, trying to be, again, proactive to this community risk assessment. I'll give you one more example. We touched on it earlier. So the table on the left is just a simple bar graph of the fires we've had in the last 3 years. You can see on that top bar, or maybe you can see it's a little blurry, but cooking fires is our biggest problem. In the last 3 years, 18 of our total residential fires were from cooking fires, right? You transpose that information over to our incident data, and again, you can see in that right lower quadrant, the majority of our fires are happening in, again, that Highway 9 corridor is where our apartments buildings are, right? So we would apply cooking fire safety classes to HOAs and other community members in that lower right-hand quadrant. A little bit of outreach there, messages, but I'll go over to the next slide here. I do have a link to this program. I'm not going to be able to do, so I'll pull this up. And the back can pick it up for me.
He's got you. It
He's
just
got
is
it,
a little
great.
delay.
So this is the dashboard. We're going to put it live on our City of Milton Fire webpage. Again, it's something that our community can access. So if they want to know what the risk is in their particular area of Milton, they can check it out. They can see what kind of programs we can do to help those risks. Here it comes. So if you look on the left side there, our community, that is the census information. If you scroll down on the main page here, you got different information from your people to the age of your structures, right? What we do, the demographics behind our area, age, all sorts of stuff. If you can just click on our people, please. Give you a little insight in what we have going on. So this is all pulled from census tract data, all interactive. Just scroll down. Population, right? It's important. Where's the most of the population at? We've got a lot of breakdowns with bar graphs, pie charts. If you can just go over to our incidents on the left side. Thank you. Scroll down. So this is where we import our fire incident data into this dashboard, which overlays everything from fires to EMS calls. Just for example, click on false alarms on the bottom right corner there. So this will give us a breakdown of not only months, how often we're running these false alarms. It'll give you breakdowns for times. It'll give you breakdowns for days. What's causing these false alarms? Again, a better way for us to prioritize these initiatives. And again, a heat map there. You can see the majority of our false alarms are occurring on that southeast corner there. Again, just a great tool, an initiative to help our community risk reduction efforts. And that's it. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the program.
Question for Alex.
Could you talk to us a little bit about how CARES is engaged? How does that happen? Is it after you do a call where you?
Sure. It's a great question and great program. So on many different levels, CARES is involved and initiated. I'll give you one example. So if we transport someone to the hospital in very critical condition, they do great at the hospital. They go to get discharged. We actually have a partnership with North Fulton Hospital that says, hey, your community, the city of Milton, has an in-home program called Milton Fire Cares. And here's the telephone number. Here's your point of contact. And they will actually contact us or we'll contact them, tell a little bit about the service. We'll get in their homes. We'll make sure they're taking those medications right, making sure they're, changing their dressings if it's a wound. That's how we get in there initially. Of course, we got advertisement online through our website and such, but we also have referrals from, so if our crews respond by the form and then it will, our care follow up. We now have a link with the police. Also, police officers. Just tying up right now care with the community. Mental health intervention specialists, so they're getting that. One thing that's coming, it will come before you here probably in the next month or so, is we're implementing telehealth in our cares as well as our response at no cost to the city, where we would be able for some of the low acuity calls, if a person just, instead of incurring a bill and a transport to the ER in the hospital, we can dial up the telehealth, their insurance, they'll doctor that could prescribe something, or we're taking it to the next level, but that's mostly how we go through referrals. People look at our websites. We also work with Center. We get referrals through them as well for Milton residents, but mainly the hospitals, our firefighters out there in our community.
Does this kind of tie into, and maybe it's a little bit separate, but I know we were talking about one time having data if someone wanted to voluntarily register, if they had some elderly or they're having a problem, where if you ever had an emergency, if they self-identify, here's where you have to go.
Yeah,
Is that
Community
part of
Connect. So
this?
when the medics go out there, they will also sign them up for Community Connect so that if we ever have an incident or address, that information comes in if they live alone, if they're invalid or require special assistance. That's part of our Community Connect. We're trying to all information that it's completely protected, just like health information. We don't even share it with we're going to try hopefully with the equestrian community is if there's gates for some of these farms, we're going to get those properties on there with pins, because we don't want to damage gates, especially with pins, so that we want them to be able to tell us what the code is to get into that, so we don't have to break through a gate. Or like if there is codes for barns, special codes, or how many horses you have in your barn, if there's a fire, so we'll know. So all of that stuff is through, we're hoping to get through Community Connect. Only to get members of it. We have about 200 and some people signed up right now. It also goes to business, so Alex as well, he does the inspections, he will recommend Community Connect for businesses. Get alarm information, so when we respond, we'll know that who the alarm company is, what number to call, because a lot of times those change. And if we don't get that updated data, we're just trying to figure out who to call, even the business owner, the number. Those are some of the things we have to, they're all sort of connect. But with the CREC 1300, it makes us, we meet now the standard for community. Really based on data, and it's targeted, as Alex said, we see that cooking fires is largely happening in that corridor and Highway 9 around the apartments. We've got materials in different languages. Apartments providing some programs really take care of it. Year over year, whether we're able to reduce that, find specific risk within.
I think it's great that this is, what you're talking about is all proactive stuff. Those to me are, you look at it, that's a benefit that a lot of communities do not have. So I think it's great that you're doing it. One last question. Remembering, what is that?
It's just an educational outreach for older dependent population. Again, mainly about fall prevention.
Like teaching them about fall prevention.
Yes, sir.
All right, Chief, you want to introduce somebody?
Yeah, just last thing, I would like to introduce Dr. Ahmed El-Shamli. He's from the Harvard Disaster Medicine. He's here for a week doing his rotation in disaster medicine. As you know, we have that partnership with Harvard Medical School. So he's interested, obviously, in EMS. He's originally from the UAE. He's a military doctor by training. So I just want to introduce him, and he's enjoying Milton. He's loving the community.
I'm loving really Milton. Hi, my name is Dr. Ashimeli. It's nice meeting you, and thank you for having me in here.
Thank you. I know this is
you.
much different than Middle East, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Thank you for being here.
So, but tell us for a moment, like, what are you doing?
I'm basically an emergency medicine doctor. I finished my training in Montreal, and I'm doing a year of disaster medicine fellowship in Boston. And once I finish, I will go back home to serve in the military, which is my background.
Wonderful experience. Thank you for being here. Very
Thank you so
nice.
much for having
Thank
me.
you.
Good. Pleasure.
Anyone else have anything for Chief?
Just one comment. I think it's great that you got us linked up with the Harvard program. That is another example, but thank you for proactive in that side.
Well, the chief is very smart.
Well, I would never want to imply otherwise, but
I mean, pick a language. It's
That's right.
impressive.
No, I think-
He has contacts everywhere.
yeah, but
Thank you.
I think it's
It's a
great.
privilege and honor to serve this community. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Chief.
chief.
Anything else, Tammy?
No, sir, that's all.
Do we need a motion to adjourn our work session, Ken? Nope. All right, that'll do
All
it.
right.
See you next Monday.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.